Anyway, so good evening again, everyone, and I'm Marix. I'm your host for tonight, and welcome to the 33rd third installation, 33rd installation of our Project Pigi'S Game Dev Talks Indie Survival Guide. So actually, before we proceed with the formal panel discussion, we have actually Project Piggy have like announcements. We have an announcement tonight. We have two announcements actually. So okay, so I'll just go. I'll just go. Okay. So we partnered with Gamedev PH. So please join our official Discord channel in the Gamedev PH Discord channel. So there. So please join. So please scan the QR code, or actually we've provided the link below. So please join the Discord channel for any questions that you would like to ask directly to the organizers and to our dear volunteers and mentors and speakers. So there, okay. So please don't forget to join our community in our Discord channel. Okay. So and actually our next announcement for tonight is that we're actually giving away two bundles, two how do you two game bundle. So so in that bundle we have Love Esquire from Yang Mobile, Bayani from Ranida Games, Academia School Simulator from Squeaky Wheel, Basketball Slam from Ranida Games, Political Animals, and Ruinark from Squeaky Wheel Studio. So actually, two winners tonight will be awarded with this. So it's actually pre-selected already. So yeah, stay tuned. We will announce the two winners later. Okay. So I think that's my announcement. So actually, I'll go ahead and introduce our moderator for tonight. So I would like to invite Neil. Hi, Neil.
Hi
Yeah, hi Neil.
everyone. Thank you,
Neil is
Marika.
actually hi. So Neil is actually the co-founder of um, Think
Think
Simulator. He's
Simulator.
also the co-founder and programmer of Think Simulator. So actually, I'll leave I'll leave the stage to him. Go Neil. So I'll put on the speakers now. Okay.
All right. Fantastic. Welcome, welcome. Right. So thank you, Marika, and welcome everyone to the third Game Dev Talk. So before I introduce our speakers, in the past two Game Dev Talks, we've had a lot of insight from experienced developers about conceptualizing a game and prototyping a game. So now that our developers are in this vast forest that we call game development, how are we going to survive? So fortunately for us, that is this panel discussions all about. So welcome to the third Game Dev Talk, everyone. And our topic for tonight is Indie Survival Guide. Without further ado, let me introduce our speakers. We have Mr. Nico Tuason from Games by Nico, who has more than a decade of experience in the game development industry and is now the creator of Lithium City, an isometric shooter with a really appealing graphics, if I may say so. We also have Miss Lalna, the client partner manage accounts of Unity ads from Unity Technologies. Their goal is to help indie to mid-sized game developers or game studios in the APAC or Asia Pacific region to drive their revenue and grow user base through advertising. Mr. Alex Valdez, the creator of Good Night with a K, a one-button reach puzzle bullet hell inspired by Filipino horrors, culture, and history. And lastly, we have Mr. Marvin Apacible, with also a decade of experience in the industry. He is now the CEO and the co-founder of Maxima Games, the creators of Ruinark, an evil overlord simulator focused on story generation. So welcome, panel. Welcome, everyone. I'm pretty sure that I, along with our viewers, excited for this discussion. So, to start us off, what made you decide to set up your own indie studio or go full time indie? Mr. Nico, how about you?
Oh wow, the hardest questions first. So yeah, it was a kind of a long time decision. I mean, it wasn't something sort of spur of the moment. I started making games, I think in 2010, Yeah, before that, I was working as a web developer in Makati, and one of the things we were doing was, well, Flash was kind of big back then. So, uh, one of the things I would do for our web development clients was making like Flash banners or navigation menus. And from there, I discovered that you can use Flash to make games. And I'd always been a long time gamer. It had always been a dream of mine to make games. It's just a question of how to do it. Because back then, the game engines were very primitive. Like I think Unity just started out, and there wasn't anything like Unreal or Godot or any of the modern game engines now. So yeah, and when I discovered Flash, it was just like my gateway to try and create my own game. So yeah, I jumped right in, and that's how I started on like back in 2010.
Wow, with Flash. So that's a really good start for this discussion because
Yeah,
I believe Marvin also started with Flash, if I remember correctly. How about you?
Yeah, I also tried out game development using Flash. While I was still working at Oracle, I was learning how to code AS3, and then I decided to do it part time at that time. So that's how I
Oh,
started there.
may I ask which platform, what websites did you upload back then?
I would There was this website called FGL Flash Gaming License where you can post it so you could obtain some sponsors. So basically, they will pay you to add their logo at the start of the game, and then when you can upload it anywhere, Newgrounds, Congregate, and other websites, and it's free for anyone to play, but you've been paid because you added the logo of some companies. That's it.
And Alex?
I actually started in Flash as well, but way there were platforms prior to Flash, but a lot of indie developers like me also jumped from Flash. But I actually started with animation. I did game development with Visual Basic and
Oh,
some
really?
click and play and multimedia fusion stuff before Game Maker was popular. But I saw on the during the Flash boom, I jumped on animation because it's also my other passion. My other passion before, and I really enjoyed using action script too. Then I kind of had a fall off with action script 3. And so yeah, it's actually pretty interesting that three of us has experience with Flash.
Yeah.
yeah.
It's really
Everyone started from the same place.
Yeah, I'm
yeah, same
surprised.
same. How about you, Miss Launa? How did you get into the indie world?
Yeah, so hi everyone, I'm Lana from Unity, and I'm very excited to be here and have the opportunity to share with the community today. So I think the topic is the subject that I hold very close to my heart given what I do at Unity. So I have the privilege of working with many indies to mid-sized studios in the southern APAC region, where I help them from the things around like user acquisition, monetization, player engagement, the list goes on. So yeah, I think to answer the question, right? I may have not joined the community since there was Flash. I think when I joined, it's already like a mobile era. And from my observation, like what made indies decide to set up their own studios, I think it's mostly fueled by passion. And it's not just passion alone, right? So actually, there's an overlap between passion and opportunity. So that's when the stars are aligned, and that's when I see the studios are born. So I actually have one like memorable story of one of my customers in Australia. He started with just a simple idea where he wanted to create mobile games for his kids because he just like have two babies. And like after he went on to do research, he found out that the mobile games business is huge, for the family game category. Like based on Sensor Tower, the revenue for the family games is like 1 billion USD. So that's like the opportunity that he saw. And I think that's when the aha moment happened. Like he decided to start his mobile game business part time. and he enjoyed the process so much that he decided to convert to full time. Yeah, so like that's a story that I can see from my client who like grasped the opportunity and also did it out of passion. Yeah.
Someone was mentioning actually in the chat about Sir Nico's 10-year blog, and I think he mentioned there about the 2013 Flash Apocalypse. Can you tell us more about that?
Yeah. So, for is this a question for me?
Yes.
Oh yeah. So yeah, I think like what everyone started out with. There was this website called fgl.com, and it's basically where you put up your game, your completed game for bidding for sponsors. Like they'll basically give you money to put their logo on your game. And it was good for a while, for a couple of years. Like when I started out 2010, I was able to get some good amount of bids. Like I think the first game I put up for bid. So yeah, let's come out with the real numbers so that we can, so that it's more specific. So I think the first game I made, I put it up on FGL for like it got the winning bid for around $8,500. So like that for me, that was a lot of money at the time. And I had to leave the Flash space for a while because I had got secured some employment for about 2 years. And when I came back, I tried to create another game and put it up on FGL. And the amount of money you could get had really dropped, like from like the highs of the first time. It like it was around only half of the amount that that you could get from FGL. Like this was around 2013, 2014. So like by then, like the Flash games had started to decline in popularity. And I think what happened is because the whole Flash ecosystem is based off of ad revenue. So the reason sponsors would pay to put their logo on your game is because it would lead people to click on their logo, and then that would lead them back to their website where they could generate revenue from their ads. And for some reason, all of the ad revenues started to drop. So sponsors were less willing to pay money for games, or they would put up less money for games, and it really led to the it really led to a decline in the number of Flash games. And then I think the final nail in the coffin was when Steve Jobs wrote this open letter, basically bashing Flash and calling it a memory hog, a battery hog. I mean, it was partly true. Like, it would really drain the battery of your iPhone or iPad. So yeah, Steve Jobs wanted the technology gone, and a lot of tech companies backed him up on that. So yeah, Flash basically lost a lot of ground. And not today, I mean, just last year they officially had Flash removed as a plugin from Google Chrome. So that was, I think that like that's the end of it.
Yeah. Tangential to that, I think this is a good segue to ask everyone in the panel about you've been in this industry for so long. So how did you manage to stay afloat for this long, Alex?
Oh, so um, could you change your question? Could you reiterate your question?
Yeah, I mean, with your game, the Good Night, how did you manage to stay afloat until
Oh,
now
okay,
for
okay.
this long? Yeah.
I was actually expecting the prior question. That's why I was surprised. Um, with Good Night, to be honest, it's so hard to. I'll be blunt. I just got lucky.
Oh,
I got good friends. I got good friends. I got some supporters, and actually they were really s- um it's a really hard investment. Like um my mother also helped because I asked her can I actually get some money to pay my rent and stuff like that. Um I'll be front, the life of a indie developer is really hard, especially if you don't have money or some financial help. Despite me having some 7-year experience on actually making games professionally. A big help as well is actually having communities with you, which is surprisingly I was able to get because I'm from Baguio and most people are in Manila. There's barely any bleep outside Manila. And I was lucky enough that I actually am friends with some people. And I was extremely lucky I got in ESGS and stuff like that. So yeah, the community, having community, talking to people like earlier before this event happened, we're actually talking to everybody, trying to connect with everybody because you don't know where the help will come from. I actually really love people, and some of the help I had actually came from asking a random person on a game jump event if he's interested to fund our project. And there was stuff happening, so we I'll just leave it at that. Then I was lucky enough to get a publisher afterwards, but there's also a but you won't get your publisher and everything like that if you don't have friends, if you're not nice to people, or you don't actually communicate and network with other people. One thing that developers don't know, because usual developers are very introverted people. They prefer to not talk to other people, which is the extreme opposite of what you need to do. Because these people are, if you don't think like that, these people will be the ones who will actually play your game, right? So you're telling na, no, I don't need players. I don't need supporters. I think, but in a way, I really think I just got lucky, and I wish to be more lucky because
Don't we
this
all?
this ain't this luck isn't enough. I feel like, but yeah, hard work, man, hard work.
Mr. Marvin?
For me, as the co-founder of Maxima Games, we've been at it for about 5 years already. The first 3 years of that was completely bootstrapped. So from savings from my previous work and some borrowings from my parents also. Um, of course, Neil, we teamed up with the publisher Squeaky Wheel to get us through our fourth year. And as you know, we just released our first game last year, and because we are still a very small team, now the modest revenue share we get from that game's monthly sales is enough to keep us going for today.
Hmm.
Congratulations, by the way, for the release on early access.
Yeah, thank you. We're also surprised
So
about that
so
and very
with
grateful, of course.
Why? May I ask
So
why you were surprised at early access?
For me, kasi I always expect that it's very hard uh, for a first game of a studio to be successful. You're still figuring out stuff, and of course your chemistry is not yet there. So I set my expectation a bit lower that maybe this wouldn't be too successful yet. So we have to be sure that we have budget for multiple games in case this
Mm.
one failed. So I'm just trying to be realistic when
so
we
is
are
it true you're
releasing games.
surviving off the monthly sales from the game?
Yeah, for now we're
Holy,
currently
Wow,
surviving on the
that's
sorry
monthly.
amazing. That's
that yeah, I
amazing.
Wow.
mean
Uh,
that's so rare, and
yeah,
it's really
yeah.
hard. It's really hard to do that.
And it's on
Yes,
early access,
Yeah,
may I
yeah,
add.
yeah.
I think it's
That's
also a good thing that we are still a very small team right now, so we don't have a lot of overhead and monthly costs. That's why even if it's not exactly a huge success, but we still have a bit of savings from every month for now, especially if there are sales from Steam. That usually increases our revenue for the month.
may I ask how many people, how many team members you
yeah,
have?
We for Ruin Arc, we have two developers plus me as the game designer and the producer, and then we have part time. We all For music for the other part, we usually just do freelance work. So
Oh, okay, okay.
only when we need.
Mm. Stuff
and if I
like
remember
music.
correctly, you also work from home with your team, right? I
Yeah,
mean, your whole team also worked from home.
yes, especially now in the pandemic, we all work from home, so we don't have an office space that we have to pay for. So that's a huge amount of expense that you don't need to pay now.
Mm. Um,
Well done.
ca can I add some things?
Sure,
This
sure. Go
act
ahead. Go ahead.
I wanna be blunt with the chat. This is how hard indie is. Marvin actually has two developers, right? And he got some income from Ruin Arc. I'm actually just one developer and one artist. And a very very nice composer, and I'm still not getting enough money. So it's really hard. So I really look up to I really look up to Marvin and Ruin Arc with how it's getting its success because it's so hard. Especially during COVID, man. It's so hard
Yeah.
to advertise during COVID.
I
True.
think the biggest thing that made Ruiner successful is there were some YouTubers that posted about it
Yo.
on its
Mm,
launch, specifically
mm,
Splattercat, and that's the one
Splattercat
that gave
Gaming.
us a
Yeah.
huge boost
yo.
in visibility. And with Steam, when you have visibility from external sources, they say that they usually add additional visibility based on that. So I think that's what gave us the initial boost.
Ka- um you don't have to answer this, but can I ask if how did Splattercat found you guys?
I'm not sure exactly, but with Squeakwheel, they sent out a lot of keys for different
Mm-hmm.
influencers. I think they sent one for Splattercat too, but also I
Oh, okay.
noticed that Splattercat was already following our Twitter account way before, so maybe he was
Mm,
already on the lookout for some indie games to try, and when he
oh.
found out that we were releasing, he tried it out and enjoyed it.
The reason I ask is I keep messaging as much as YouTubers as I can. Because I'm also doing the marketing for the game and
Mhm.
doing some a lot of people and it's so hard to talk to them. So I was surprised like how if there's a shortcut for that I would want it.
I think they have to be interested in the product and they have to be aware first and foremost. So
Yeah.
That
how
And I
he
think
found out
Splattercat
about our
Gaming is
Twitter
most.
account? Mhm.
yeah, that one of the biggest problems I had with this is because around 3 a I'm having a hard time marketing outside Philippines because of the time zone. Because
Mhm.
when you post at Twitter or post at other places, you can't reach the other countries if you post here in the Philippines.
How
Yeah.
And
about marketing
I
outside our
yeah.
regions? I think we could ask Miss Lalna about that from
Mm,
Unity. What do you think about marketing outside your specified regions? Because most of us here are PH developers, so and I think it's a good conversation to have for surviving in this in the indie world is to market outside your own region. So what do you think about that, Miss Lalna?
Yeah, I think it's a very good topic. So to I think like it's important to like see the kind of audience that you want to target. I mean, like your game may not just be like targeted just the Filipinos, but I'm sure that you can see like whether your game can target countries like the US or these who have the also strong fan base. So it's important to figure out like uh, where outside of your countries that you can target because your game is I guess is in English, right? So it's like can target globally and I would say that you can maybe try do some experiments first like what our clients like to do like they will go for let's say tier one we call it tier one countries so basically English speaking countries like US UK Australia and see like the performance first if it goes well then you can kind of double down on that but another country that I think also have quite good traction is what we call like tier three countries like Indonesia, Brazil, like or like India or Pakistan. So these are also like for the ones that want to go for maybe like the lower price to see what's the response of the country over there. So yeah, definitely. I think for the time zone, right? You can. I'm not sure the tools that are using, but I think you can do the scheduling of the post, or yeah, or maybe you can work with any partners in in the country that you're targeting to help you with that. Yeah. So I think that's my take.
How about you, Mr. Nico? Do you do anything special for marketing your games, especially with Lithium City?
Oh my gosh, I'm really really bad at marketing. Kasi I focused on the art direction and the programming, and I just didn't have the energy to do marketing. So actually, I think if you're looking at my game Lithium City, it's kind of a example of what not to do in terms of marketing before your launch, because I think the number one thing to be concerned of is how many wish lists you have before launching on Steam, and the agreed upon like safe amount is around 10,000 wish lists, and we launched with only like 500 or 600 wish lists. So we really didn't put enough time into marketing the game before launch. And I think the reason I'm gonna give for that is we were just exhausted and we had to get the game out, because like for myself it was really taking a toll. Like I think someone mentioned here in the chat, that your mental health is always on the line. And after working on the game for 6 years, yeah, we just had to launch the game, like ready or not ready. So we did some efforts. Like I reached out to a bunch of YouTubers. I emailed all the popular ones I could think of, and almost here's my experience with it. Almost no one that I emailed replied or did anything. Like all of the effort I put into emailing, I must have sent 100 emails. No one really replied besides one or two small channels that didn't have a lot of viewership anyway. And the biggest coverage we got was from a YouTuber named Northern Lion, and he wasn't the one I emailed. I didn't email him. He just discovered the game on his own. He does his own research, and I guess the game lined up with his tastes, his preference, and he did a video on it, which got us a good number of sales. But everyone else who I emailed, none of the YouTubers really responded or replied or created any content out of it. So yeah, YouTube marketing is still a tough egg that I haven't cracked. I don't know how to do it.
I can give a bit of tips on my side on how to do that. But
Okay.
this this is what I do actually. Don't just go for the emails, because the emails, there are chances that it can go to the on the spam folder. So what I also do is actually, if their DMs are open at Twitter, I actually message them at Twitter as well, because those some of the guys are actually more active on Twitter rather than on Gmail. So sometimes I actually try not to go to the emails, but rather on their social medias, because they don't because that's right trying because if the emails are flooded, there may be a chance that nobody's actually checking the social medias. So that's the hope.
Yeah,
And also, um some of the community members are bugging other people, so that actually helps as well.
the only problem there is you have to have a active Twitter account,
Yeah,
and like that
Oh,
takes effort, man.
yeah, I know,
Like
right?
it's
social
active
media is,
attention.
yeah. I mean, just being active in social media is already like a job in itself, and it takes a lot of time and effort.
So
And
so what do
I'm
you use if you don't use social media for advertising?
yeah, I didn't do a good job. That's why I said like we didn't do marketing very well.
Oh, okay, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe
Okay,
I
so
can add
speaking,
on. Oh yeah. Or
sorry, go
okay,
ahead.
okay. Yeah. So another way that can you can do for like organic channels is this is specifically for the mobile games, is the App Store optimization. Yeah, it's just basically the same concept as how you show on the first page on Google. This is like, how do you rank your games up to top 10? And there are many tactics. How do you optimize that? And I actually have number of customers who managed to spend zero like marketing budget, and he just followed this ASO tactics and managed to like earn like 500,000 installs organically. So yeah, I think you can probably take a look at the, I think on YouTube there's also the search optimization on the
Yeah.
platform itself. Yeah. So
Uh,
that's another way.
To add on to what Alex mentioned about Twitter, if I may share various hashtags. So we have Wishlist Wednesday, Follow Friday, Screenshot Saturday, and there's another one for Sunday, but I haven't really delved into it. So there's Wednesday, Friday, and Saturday hashtags that has thousands, if not 10,000s of people who will see the hashtag at a given time. So if you're really looking for your game to be noticed on Twitter, those are hashtags to look at.
I just want to explain how that thing works because before I started Twitter, I have no idea what Twitter. I don't know how to use Twitter. I'm a Facebook person, so when when I found actually those hashtags, what the point of those hashtags is actually there are bots that will help you propagate your tweets around. So people who are not followed to you, it's like an email list, but for Twitter. So if you use
Yeah,
this
they will
hashtag,
auto
for
retweet.
example, yeah. And another tactic is know what is the time you should post during your social media days. Um, the numbers I could give right now is actually 10 p.m. to 11 p.m. on Philippine time. You can get a lot of people around those time. And I actually wanted to ask Miss Lalna one thing. Regarding the
Yeah.
CEO stuff and social media stuff that Sir Nico mentioned, are will this work even though you already launched the game? Because one misconception of people are the highest sales of your game is the first day, which is a good mentality to get into. But I when after releasing it, I realized, hey, that's not actually true. I can still keep on improving it. Do you think the SEO and some of the tips you gave earlier would help right now?
Do you mean like whether this ASO will work for the games that have already been released for some time?
Because of the
Yeah.
Google bots already.
Oh, definitely. I think it doesn't necessarily have to be, just the new games freshly released on the store. Like games that have been released for some time can also try these tactics. I do see like customers who have done it before. It's like they have released for like 3 months and they still manage to do it. I think it's just how you can optimize. I think Google, let's say they have 10 algorithms. You can probably try not just the time, but say your keywords, your images, like your description. There are many like elements that you can optimize, not just like the time that you release to the store. Yeah.
Specifically for YouTube, SEO for YouTube, I'm quite familiar because I did a entertainment studio with my friends a couple of while back. So titles, descriptions, tags should be consistent with each other for SEO. And if you're uploading your video, the title of the MP4 file actually and the PNG image that you're going to use is also added to the metadata of the
Oh,
video. So also with the websites, all the images there have alternative texts. Even on Twitter, there's also an alt text. So you need to add there your specific keywords. So for example, for Alex, the good night with the K, you should add that for the alt text for their image to appear when people search for good night. So that's just an example. We already have a lot of questions from our viewers on Facebook. And we have a guest here for, I mean, one of the organizers, Ryan Sumo. I'd like to invite Ryan to the stage for our Q&A portion. Welcome,
Siyempre,
Ryan.
ginulat niyo ako.
Hi,
Surprise!
Ryan.
Hi. Hi.
Hi.
Hello. Hello from Sweden. Thank you so much for letting me be a part of this. Um, yeah, so I've been looking at the questions. Sorry, can everyone hear me okay? Oh,
Yeah, you sound
we can
good.
hear you. We can
Yeah,
hear you.
Yes.
yeah.
okay, great. Just a quick ano pala, advice on with regards to marketing,
Okay, okay,
before
okay.
we ask the questions. Yeah, like marketing is just it's not, you can't like wait until you're about to launch, before you release like you start contacting streamers or whatever. You kind of have to spend time with it, like let's say half a year or 3 months, at least 3 months before you launch your game. You have to be, starting to communicate with, like, ideally you have a community already, so you're communicating with them, and then like kind of sending out feelers to different influencers to see if any of them are interested in your kind of game. And you also have to make sure that the people that you contact are actually playing your kind of game, right? So it's also like looking for publishers. You can't send like a roguelike to a streamer that only plays like visual novels. There's no point. So you are wasting your time in that sense. So you have to make sure you're doing that parang leading up to the launch, and then parang like right before launch, then you remind them. And in some cases, like for academia, if I remember correctly, we would give like people who were interested in the game like access to the game like a week before launch, so that they have time to prepare themselves, because it's also not instant, right? They need to take their time to play the game, understand the game, and so that they can share it in the best way possible. So yeah, just some general marketing tips. But so let's talk. Let's take some questions from the audience.
Um, I could
Um,
I can
what?
can I add one last thing for
Yes, go
anybody
ahead,
who's
Art.
interested in chat? Because this is one of the things that I really researched, and I was really into trying to put my numbers up. Go find GDC. You can guys can actually find some GDC talk that are actually really helpful. Just look for marketing on GDC. There were two or three ones that are actually really good, and especially the GIF one and how to advertise your game, something like that. Okay, I think that's good.
Cool. Sige, so one of the questions is, what advice can you give to devs that are starting to get lost, or like losing their passion or motivation, like in the middle of their game creation journey? What do you guys? Let's start with Nico. You had a 10-year game dev journey. How did you? Yeah, like how did you
Uh,
keep up the momentum?
I'm getting flashbacks. Yeah, this is it's well. First of all, it's really hard. Actually, the attitude I took to it is well, in the first place, yeah, I spent 6 years making a game. Not all of it being super productive, but hey, like even when you're not working on a game, it occupies space in your mind. So yeah, yeah, even if like you find you're not working, it's still like you are kind of working. But yeah, one of the things I tried to recognize, because I went to a really long period of unproductivity, and I had to like get back that productivity in order to launch the game. And one of the things that helped me do that is to realize that your work right now, what you're doing, game development, is a hazardous job. Like I know you're just sitting here on your desk and you're being comfortable. You're at your home or you're at a coffee shop, but it is hazardous to your mental health. Like if you think about it, it's easy to see how like physical labor, like going out to like work on stuff in the real world, can be hazardous, but it's hard to see how sitting here in your desk on your computer can be hazardous to your health, but it is. um, you need to take steps to ensure that you're actually in the right state of mind when you work. And yeah, you need to treat it seriously. Like it's a like every minute, every hour that you spend sitting down at your desk working on the game is like draining your life bar or something. However you wanna imagine it. Like if I were doing this for someone else, I would ask them for hazard pay, because honestly, you really need to see it that way and take the hazards seriously. So the mental health hazards are there, and one of the things I did to get around it is I had to really leave the house, because like for the first 3 or 4 years of development, I did all of my work at home. And at home, you want to be happy, you want to be comfortable. And I think right now you guys are in your third month of working on your games. And right around the third month, like second or third month, is when the excitement starts to die down. Like the honeymoon period is over. That's if you wanna think of it that way. Um, and when that happens, you need to start treating it like it's a job. Like sometimes you have to pay yourself to work on the game, and that's why I'd recommend going to a coffee shop, because like you can pay for your like pay you have to pay for a coffee, and that's your the time that's you're paying for your own time. So like you spent some money, so you feel a bit obligated to get some work done. And this one's kind of silly, but like when you're in a coffee shop, and your laptop is open and people can see what you're doing, you want to look like you're being busy. You want to look productive. So you're not going to waste time on YouTube. You're not going to waste time on social media looking like you went to a coffee shop just to be idle and waste time. So
Yeah, a
yeah,
little
it,
bit
it
of
actually
social pressure is good.
yeah, social pressure, exactly. Because yeah, one thing I didn't mention is like I work mostly alone, so like no team to like push you to start working on something else, or to keep you busy. So yeah, like one of the things that helped me survive was really getting out of the house to work, and treating the development as a serious, like, hazardous work. Like I had to make sure that after I spent a few hours sitting down and working, I had to make sure I got some exercise and made sure my diet was free of a lot of heavy carbs and sugars. Because like carbs and sugars will make you sleepy, make you uh, will really reduce your productivity. So I had to train myself to really start eating like vegetables, proteins, like did a whole research on nutrition. Yeah, sorry if I'm going on about this, but like this is something that occupied like a good number of years of my life, and I feel like I lost a lot of years trying to get that productivity, trying to maintain that productivity level up. So yeah, those are my recommendations to you guys. Treat it like it's a hazardous activity. So you need to recover from it. You need to take care of your body and your nutrition in order to do this hazardous job. And yeah, get out of the house. Put yourself in a position where you're not so comfortable, so that you can, so that it will help you be a bit more productive. Yeah, I'm sorry if I sound a bit pessimistic about it, but that these are just the realities of having done
That's
this
fine.
for quite a while. Yeah.
Does anyone have more an optimistic take to balance things out,
Do we
or
have
wala?
those game developers have optimistic takes on it on game dev?
I'll give a slightly
Yeah.
optimistic thing that you can do. I think so. This is something also I shared with someone else that was asked, that was kind of at a low point in their career. Like show your game to other people. And like, it's not always going to turn out the way that you like, but like if you can find a couple of people that see your game, they're like, oh wow, that's awesome, and then you see that like on their faces that they're excited about your game. You can really feed off of that, right? Because if you're just alone, it's like, oh, we're making things to for people to play, right? It's not just, part of it is like the pleasure of creating or crafting a thing, but you're also making an object for other people. And so once you see that, like someone getting really pumped about your game, I think that's definitely one great way to kind of get your mojo back.
I,
Like Lala, do
I
you have any stories about, like, from the people that you've worked with?
Yeah. You want to go first, Alex?
okay, okay. It's just quick. If you guys think like who's that Greek person again who's
Si
pushing the rock?
Sisyphus? Yeah,
Sisyphus, yeah, Sisyphus.
yeah.
If you have that feeling, it means that you're overdoing it. You're maybe you're in the wrong direction. Sometimes I like to think that it's better to go back, or rather, if it's a bit harsher, you can actually do it from the start again. Earthbound is known to be one of those games that after years of making the game, they scratch everything and they went back to start. Another game, another thing that would help is try to make a demo of your game. Who else would love? I who will? what else would make you happy if people would react to your game, right? So if you got a 2 minute demo, I really suggest making a really short demo, like around a really tight 5 minute demo, and let other people play it. I usually do it at ESGS, or now online. There's a lot of online people who get excited for quick games, and you will actually get a lot of bliss from feeling that, oh my gosh, this my game actually has a point, and there will be people actually will get invested to it. Just do that quick demo. Another help is make a game jam. There's a reason why game jams are so popular, because they are quick games. There there games like what you call this, Binding of
Super
Isaac,
fun.
Super Hot, games like that actually came from game jam. They started from some game developers were actually making a previous game before doing their game jam, and that helped with their momentum. When they get that momentum in, they can they can let other people play it. It's instant gratification for you guys. And if hey, it sucks, well, it's a game jam. If it's good, oh dude, it's just a game jam. Then it's always
There's no
positive
harm.
for you. There's no harm. And technically you're doing game jams every day anyway because you're working on this game. The last thing I would say is, when you release your game, you will actually get a release an I another popular thing is actually Kickstarters and early access. Goodnight right now is on early access, and it helped people. I help my team and myself get over a lot of anxiety and depression, just thanks for the community. That's because the community really loves the game, and anxiety because I am pretty sure, Sir Nikos, that 6 years of developing your game, I'm pretty sure that one of the worst things you're feeling right now is that insane pressure that this game needs to be good. Like,
For sure, for sure.
yes, like a lot of people, that's really, really hard. It'll make you insane. So the one thing that will make you sure that your game's actually good, give a demo. Give a demo around. Show some people. If it's not, even if it's a private demo, it'll help you.
Yeah, I totally agree with, like Ryan, Alex, Nico, about, what you have talked about. Like, mental health is important, diet is important, and you need that sense of gratification, and also, maintaining that momentum. I believe everyone here is familiar with sleepless nights, crunch time, and, many of us forget to have that reflection with ourselves. So I think my first advice is to ask yourself why you are feeling down or why you're feeling motivated, and what stopped you from finishing your games. And understanding this state of mind is the most important first step. And I think the second advice to take a walk down your memory lane, like why you started doing this. Why did you do this? Like Stardew Valley. I think the reason why the Eric started his game is because he believed that that's Harvest Moon is missing some elements that he can address. So because of his belief, he remember why he started. He managed to finish his game. And I think lastly, my advice would be, don't forget to celebrate every small win, because sometimes we crunch and we forget to just take a break, do some, go out with your teams to just have a drink or something to like celebrate like the game release, or and it's okay to just take that pause and then come back and continue that sprint again. Yeah, so that would be my advice.
I want to add on to what Alex mentioned earlier about getting feedback as early as you can for your game. Because currently for Think Simulator, I'm streaming on Twitch. So it's actually a great way, as I experienced and seen with other game developers like Spyus from Stardeus. It's a space game. He has a huge following on Twitch, and you can actually get live feedback as you're developing the game. So if you're not afraid of showing the back end development part of your game, you can try on Twitch if you have someone in your team who can actually speak while working. Yeah, and we also
I
had other developers on Twitch who helped us when we encounter issues or problems as we're working on our game?
For me, I guess I'll go about this a different way. My advice would be something you do before you exit prototyping that I hope may reduce the likelihood of struggling or getting demotivated. Make sure that the game you are doing is something that fits your team's capability and budget. We all probably have these really ambitious game ideas that we'd like to do, but for small and starting indie developers like us, it may not be suitable to do this yet. As I said before, we're probably still figuring out our workflow and perfecting the team's chemistry. I suppose as your team grows bigger and your budget gets a bit more secure than a startup, then you can scale your ambitions. I think this way you will be less likely to get into what we call a development hell.
Yeah.
I yeah. I agree with Marvin. The thing I wanted to say actually is good. I because we're game developers, we're kind of like perfectionists. In truth, we can do this game. Your game is actually good enough. You don't know, but sometimes you're overdoing it, and we start. I like if actually if you look at Goodnight, um, there are some Goodnight fans on I think on the comments. A little secret. There's only one animation on Goodnight, the running animation, because we don't actually have that much budget. Um, you can work on your limitations. You can work on your limitation. It doesn't have to be perfect. What is perfect is the game you already released. The game you're thinking of will not be released if you keep on saying that to yourself that it needs to be perfect. The perfect version is the one that got released, and you can patch it out afterwards.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Hot fix it
agree.
afterwards.
Let's we can move on to another question, which I think maybe is a little bit easier to directly answer. Someone is asking, what's a realistic timeline for like completing a game? And just to start this off, like obviously it depends on what kind of game you're making, and so and like what your ambitions are, and so like those timelines can vary super wildly. So I mean, I think it's probably easiest for us just to say how long our games took, and then um, yeah, we can start from there. So for example, so academia school simulator, we started that. It's easy to track the time because like we started it almost exactly January of 2017. Hold on. I'm starting to. I'm not sure about my memory now, but I think we started January of 2017, and then we released out of early access on January of 2021. So that was basically 4 years of development for like a school management slash simulation game. What about you guys? So Nico, like, well, Nico, you
Oh,
mentioned
okay.
like 6 years, but like, what about your other games?
Yes,
Like,
yeah, definitely. I wouldn't start with a 6 year project. Please
yeah.
don't do that. My first game was actually, it took around 6 months. And then it took 6 months because I was also learning the technology. And the second game after that took like 3 months. And actually, if you're just starting out, I really wouldn't recommend going beyond 3 to 6 months. Like if you're the scope of your game, you think you're gonna go beyond 3 to 6 months, scale it down. Do something simpler, please. Do something that you can finish. Actually, I would say 3 months if it's your first game. Think of something simple that you can finish in 3 months, and then get that out there, get it launched. You
What
can
kind of
always
game was
work
that,
on more.
Nico?
The first game was like a kind of a tower defense game. Like this was in the age of web games, and yeah, it's like something a simple genre to start out with, tower defense, and then the next one after that was I think more of an action game. Just something simple to get started because the more games you have under your belt, the more prepared you are to take on longer projects.
Okay.
There's a infamous meme, which is actually pretty true. Do not make your first game an MMORPG
Yep.
because
Yep.
everybody thinks they can do an MMO for their
Or
first
a
game.
JRPG.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
What about
I
you,
You can do
do.
Marvin? Oh,
something.
sorry. Go
Sorry,
ahead,
you
Marvin.
can do something like if you're going to do, if your ambitions are of a JRPG or an MMORPG, maybe it's because you like the story, you like the epic scale. Try to do something that's sort of a short story version of a JRPG. Like even if it's a visual novel, like I mean, you can do a visual novel, honestly. Like if you want to practice your storytelling skills first, then do something with a smaller scale, smaller scope that you can finish, like again within the 3 months. Like practice, just do like just one element first, like the characterizations or the story. Then focus on that. You need to build those skills first before you can think about working on a larger project which needs a lot more skills, like in the gameplay department, in the marketing, and in the art departments. So yeah, just focus on a few things that you want to get done really well, and then do it really quickly. Do it in 3 months, then get it out there.
Properly scope your game.
There is also one misconception I actually had the same pitfall for like over my 5 projects, my public professionally released projects. Your playtime, despite what reviewers are saying, your playtime, the playtime of your game, it's all right if your game is just 1 hour. Because most of the people who played my game barely reached the last stage. Like they barely reach like 3 hours or 2 hours and 1 hour. My game right now, I was worried that a lot of people would say that the game is too short. They only reach around 1 hour and they went to Steam like this is the best game ever. There's barely not everybody would actually reach the end of your game. I'm on the side that the shorter the game is, the better, especially on development. It's a
Uh,
misconception.
Lala, I think you wanted to say something earlier.
Oh yeah, I just wanted to say that I totally agree with Nico on, like the scaling down the scope and trying to focus on like shorter, like 3 months or 6 months. Or I even see some of my customers, they launch games in like a week or even a month. Because I think the most important thing is, first to finish your game, and second is to get feedback from your users. So if you wait for too long, the game may not be relevant anymore if you wait for another year. So yeah, completely agree. And also on the point of like, what kind of platform are you releasing, or is it that what kind of genre are you releasing, also plays a part in the development time. Yeah.
I think that's a good jumping off point for another question, actually.
Ryan?
Ryan.
Ryan? Hello? Are you still there?
Uh-oh. Am I still here?
Yeah, you're back.
Um,
It's frozen.
Oh, it's
sorry.
frozen.
Am I frozen? Uh-oh.
Oh, it's
There,
okay.
you're good.
It's
You're good.
it's okay now.
Okay now? Okay. Okay. I'm good? Am I
Yes, you're good already.
okay, great. What was this? So you Political Animals, Suki Wheel's first game took like probably a year and a half's worth of development. So there's lots of different development times, and there will always be outliers, right? So like for all that we say, oh, pick a small game for your first project, there's always some Stardew Valley or what's the Law Mage Academy that another Filipino is making, which is like a JRPG kind of game. So yeah, there will always be outliers. We're just offering like our takes on like maybe how to play it more safe. But if you really want to go for you really want to go for it, then you can go for it. But yes, jumping off from what Launa said, like there was a question about which market or platform is best to start a new game dev or studio, like mobile, PC, or console. And I think, at least for Filipinos, that's a very easy answer. Well, you can easily cut out console because it's almost impossible for us to get like dev kits here. So that for me that rules out console. And so the choice is between mobile and PC. But Does anyone have any opinions on that?
For our
I
team, Maxima Games, we will probably stay in Steam for the foreseeable future. And this is because just my personal opinion about mobile, it's now very hard to work on it as an indie game because there are a lot of big companies that have this really games that they even release for free with the free to play mechanics. And so to compete in that stage is already hard. It's already actually hard to compete in Steam, but I think it's even harder for mobile these days. So for us, we will probably stick to PC.
um one thing I actually really like that happened last year is that the PC and mobile platforms are actually merging nowadays. This is because of Genshin Impact and a lot of other games. There are games that work on PC and work on mobile. I I do like the idea that would rather just aim for that because if you're gonna it's pretty cool. It's pretty cool. Even if the port isn't that good for like this game it made for mobile, but if you check out Dead Cells, games like Dead Cell, it's actually popular on mobile as well, even though that the port isn't like that. The only thing you're gonna have a problem with on mobile is that the sales, the price of your application might actually be a problem because mobile games should usually being sold for like $3 or $2, while our Steam games will get around $15 and so on. So you need I think I forgot. I think Civilization or Age of Empires. They force themselves to make the game to be at the price of $10, but that doesn't work. You need to lower your sale, your the price of your game when it comes to mobile. That might hurt, but it actually think of mobile by that time as your marketing, because people on mobile will start talking about your game, and the PC master race will say, "Hey, PC version better," even though it's pricier. I think it's really better if you aim at the center for cross-platform games.
Wait.
Yep.
Yeah. So I can just add on what Alex just mentioned about the mobile. So yeah, like now what I saw the stats is like the mobile games player have been almost like equal to PC or even more. So I think if you want to reach like more audience, like audience who don't use PCs, like countries that it's mobile first. So if you want to reach that audience, I think it's worth considering mobile, and also it also depends on your monetization. If it's PC, it's like it's a the games mostly sell, but if it's mobile, you have another model which is free to play. It's another like strategy for your monetization. So I think it's many factors that come into play, and I'm not sure about in terms of development, like like mobile and PC. What is the time to release? If like it's another factor to consider. Yeah.
Yep. I think we can tie this into another question because I see some related like insights here. So someone was saying, um, like, where should you or should you have multiple social media platforms for marketing, or should you stick to one only? And I think, but the relation there is like, at least for us with Squeaky, we were intentional about going with PC first. One, because that's what we know and what we're comfortable with, and so pushing ourselves to do mobile on top of that, it just didn't make any sense for the team that we had. So like, you see what you have, like what kind of resources you have, and then adjust yourselves to hit those targets. And the same goes for like platforms, social media platforms, like um if you're most familiar with Twitter, then you should probably like stick to Twitter. You can extend yourself and explore different social media platforms. But you only have so much time in the world, right? So it's more ideal for me, like for you to choose what you're most comfortable with, where are you most often in general anyway, and if you can build your community around where you are, then that's a lot less stress for you, especially if you're just an individual, like an indie developer, as in like you're just a one person team. um, so for example, like for academia, like we we were always being pushed to go on Discord, but like we made the choice not to go on Discord because like we hate people. Not we don't really hate people. Like it's just hard. Having instantaneous feedback with your players is super valuable, but also super can also be super stressful. So I made the decision. I think that like nah, I don't want to deal with Discord, and that's fine. And like maybe if we were on Discord, like would we have done that much better? Who knows? Like would it have would we have generated like I don't know like 10% more revenue maybe, but like but is that additional like money coming in worth like your mental health? Probably not. Right. So you have to make that call yourself. But do you guys have any thoughts on like which social media platforms you think are the strongest, or which ones you would approach? I think Alex, you had some thoughts about this earlier, but
Mm.
you know, uh, it's open for everyone.
I'm gonna give you guys some tips. Um, I on Facebook, usually it doesn't work. Facebook doesn't work. Goodnight is the exception because for some odd reason, I was able to cater around the Filipino people, and the Filipino masses enjoys Facebook. And
True.
the it's really weird on Facebook. So what you need, the thing you can do in Facebook is focus on posting your achievements, and it's like, oh look, we got awards. Oh look, we got stuff. Just simply advertising your game doesn't work on Facebook. Uh, if you're gonna do some awesome promotion, like in Goodnight, we have free copies for streamers and VTubers. Facebook is would really help you around that. Uh, but usually, I barely see any people on game pages on Facebook would actually work. Twitter, on the other hand, it works and it not kinda doesn't work. I'm blaming it a lot on the on
Time zone.
where we live, the time zone,
Mm-mm.
because usually the Twitter is more on people outside our country, and for some odd reason, I'm not able to reach them out. Yep. So if you're gonna use Twitter, make sure just to focus on screenshot Saturdays. It'll help you give some goals every week. Work on some screenshot you could post every week. This is your simple marketing. Hashtag doesn't work on Facebook. Facebook is pretty bad at that. Facebook is good with virality. So in Twitter, you can actually even allow yourself to spam a lot on Twitter. On Facebook, not that much. On Twitter, this is where I spam streams, Goodnight streamers. So people really actually feel like they're connected and there's a community around Goodnight. So that actually helps on Twitter. But there's other places as well. Reddit is
Mhm.
kind of hard to knock. Reddit, you can't force Reddit. You can't force Reddit. But what happens on Reddit is that if your game gets popular, they want to be the one to
Yeah.
upload your game, make it viral. They don't want the developers self
Yeah,
promotion.
I've had experiences where my posts have been removed from a subreddit. Yeah, that is quite
Yeah,
embarrassing. Um,
yeah. Actually,
yeah.
you should.
Martin,
But
sorry, go ahead.
I actually want to say the last part.
Mhm.
I didn't actually like Discord.
Mm.
I didn't like Discord because I don't like always being talked to and so on. But then when I released Goodnight, we had explosion of the Discord community, and this is now where they interact a lot. And why is it
Yeah.
awesome? Why is this community awesome? It's because there will be your kind of like rune arc. your evil little minions or whatever. The guys on Discord will be the one who's
They'll
gonna
be
make
like your
your game
marketing
viral.
team, basically.
Yeah, they're
Yeah.
gonna be your
Yeah.
marketing. They're extremely loyal and so on. And plus, if you're extremely lucky, you might actually get friends on Discord, and they're like the sweetest friends ever. Like,
Plus
it's
one
like
chance to meet friends.
yeah, this is a really good chance to meet friends because these guys are so like, man, this game sucks, and you got like a loads of people saying, no, man, this is my favorite game of the year. Who,
Oh.
as a game developer, that's really special to us.
Marvin, I wanted to ask your opinion on this because, like, I know for Ruin Art, like you recently, oh, not recently, a few months ago, but you hired someone to do like social media marketing specifically. So, like, how has that been going for you? Do you have any insights on that?
So for us, we actually have two social media platforms we use, Facebook and Twitter. I agree that it's more effective to do free advertisement in Twitter because of the hashtags. But in my experience, majority of the engagement are from game developers, and then the players that follow you are actually the ones that already found your game from purchasing it from Steam, etc. So I think there are some Twitter followers that came organically from the hashtags, but majority are still from the game dev industry. As for Facebook, I also agree with Alex that because we post both post the same exact screenshot on Twitter and Facebook, and in Facebook, the only ones that like it are our relatives. So I guess they don't really show it organically unless you do paid ads for Facebook. Before we released Ruin Arc, I tried some paid ads for a trailer, and that did get some visibility. But again, you have to pay for
Impressions.
it. And then the third one that we tried, this one is Squeaky will turned over Discord to us when they shut down. Because we already have our channel in their Squeaky Will Discord, we just transformed it into a Maxima Games Discord. I agree with Ryan that it's very stressful reading the discussions there. I actually try very hard not to read there, maybe just once a week. But I also see Alex's point because there are really when we released the game first, there were some players that PM me and they actually go to extra length to forward the game to some streamers that they know, and then they also share it on their own Discord channels. So so there are really some uh, fanboys that would
Mm.
help you expand your community. So I think
Yeah,
it's
I
very
see
I
it. So
helpful.
I think it's just a matter of how do you manage all of that influx of information, right? And in some ways, I
mm,
think I'm not a very good Discord person. My wife is actually much more, uh, much better at using Discord. So like maybe there are like bots or whatever that can help filter some of that information, so that you can surface like, oh, what's actually maybe useful for you, and just kind of ignore everything else. So
uh,
yep. I think
um,
we're running out of time though. So if anyone has any last thoughts, and then I'll hand it over to Neil
um,
after this.
I
Yeah.
I wanna add more on the Discord stuff because it's
Mhm.
one of the things that I actually got confused before
Mhm.
finishing the game because I really studied how to do the advertisement and stuff. One of the lucky stuff if you have a community behind you. Like I said, I gave the game for free on streamers, right? So you know what happened when the game actually went on sale and these streamers really love the game? They've bought 5 copies of the game and gave it away. So that
Wow.
one free copy you gave actually became 5 free copies because they really love the game. This is all thanks to the community. And one thing about and it's not just it's different experiences. For example, Marvin is talking about the hardship of catering to your players. Luckily, Good Night is like a really weird, stupid game. like, if you guys know the word kusuge on Japanese, like bad game, it kind of had that spirit. Um, one thing a Kusuge game is like in Good Night, the so the Discord community already knows, they already have a humor behind them. So they're making really weird jokes and stuff. Because there's a lot of really weird phrases like excuse the term mama mo when you die, it shows up mama mo. And everybody already gets, oh man, this is this kind of game. So if your game caters to that community, you won't have a hard time handling your Discord. And yeah, don't I I think your Discord will happen organically.
Cool. Thank you very much. Back to you, Neil. I think we're doing a closing spiel, and I think we're going to be announcing something like the raffle or something. Oh no.
Yes. So as mentioned at the start of the stream, Project Piggy is giving away a bundle of games from Yang Yang, Ranida, and Squeaky Wheel. And as promised, here are the two winners for the game bundle giveaway. Congratulations, Mark
Yay.
Savellano and Yanika Babia. Thank you. Round of applause, virtual applause for our the winners of these lovely games from Yang Yang, Ranida, and Squeaky Wheel.
Oh, by the way, sorry. Let's make sure that everyone knows that Ruin Arc is actually by Maxima.
By Maxima, yes.
Yes.
All right. So, on behalf of the Philippine Indie Games Initiative organizers, we would like to thank our viewers. Thank you for staying and for all your questions. We've created our own Project Piggy channel hosted by our partner Gamedev PH. You can check the comments earlier. Our Discord server is right there. You can drop your questions there or any game dev related questions or Project Piggy specific questions. And for our lovely speakers, Lalna, Marvin, Nico, Alex, and of course Ryan from Sweden, thank you for all your inputs. And hopefully our audience, I'm pretty sure we're able to pick up some tips and hacks to start their game dev journey, or rather continue it and keep surviving. And once again, I am Neil from Think Simulator. You can catch me on Twitch, twitch.tv/Neil Creates. I cry on stream because game dev is difficult. We will see you next month for the fourth installation of Game Dev Talks. Please visit our website, projectpiggy.com, for more information of the entire program. Thank you, everyone, and have a great weekend.